All right, hopefully that'll cool me down for just a second. I just smacked the mic with my head. I swear I know what I'm doing. All right, so quick update for those of you that follow the channel for the motorcycle content. It will be on hold for the time being because with everything that's going around with the global concerns and the film industry currently being down, it's safer for me to save my money rather than go out and buy a bike. But I'm still trying to put out different forms of content to test the waters and see what you guys like and what you don't like and what does well and what doesn't, and if I'm wasting my time or not. But yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but with new technology advancing extremely fast, it's hard to kind of keep up. I actually have a list here with some of my favorite gear that's either being released in 2020 or later. It's probably important to note that a lot of these releases are at risk of being either delayed or even canceled because of everything that's going on, but let's see what we've got for today. My favorite on the list is the Canon R5. If you haven't seen any news on this yet, the specs that were announced are honestly insane. I won't spend too much time on it, but from what we know, it's supposed to offer a whopping full frame, uncropped, 8K video at 30 frames per second, which my computer can't even handle, 4K 120 frames per second, 5-axis internal stabilization, better known as IBIS, and advanced animal autofocus. Nice. As far as a price point, we can expect it to be anywhere from $3,500 to $4,000, which for 8K uncropped is honestly a very, very good deal. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but to put that much of a punch in a camera is extremely impressive. I'm curious to see the dynamic range when it's released, considering a RED camera can shoot in that resolution and cost thousands of dollars more. Canon, if you're watching this, I would love to test it out. The GH6 from Panasonic's highly successful GH series, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. This video is actually currently being filmed on the GH5 for reference, but let's talk specs. Still a micro four thirds sensor, but now a step up from the 20.3 megapixel size of the GH5 to a beautiful 41 megapixel sensor. Cool. Newly improved autofocusing system, which the GH5 definitely could use as well. It works, but not great. Excited to see the results on that. Improved battery life of, I'm honestly not too sure how much, but the GH5 batteries have lasted me over 2 hours straight filming in 4K, which is very nice. So it would be correct to assume that it should last us over 2 hours for the GH6. If we're comparing size, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K gives you about 40 minutes. Video specifications will allow us to shoot in 16:9, 6K, 30 frames per second. I'm not sure if that's cropped or not. 4K 60 frames per second at no crop, raw video, and 422 10-bit color, which is great. Very, very promising considering it's also going to include their next gen version of IBIS, which is what Panasonic is oh so very good at and known for. Release date is early 2021 and a price tag of estimated $2,500, which happens to be a bit lower than the Lumix S1, which is basically the same thing but offers a 24.2 megapixel full frame sensor instead of a 41 megapixel micro four thirds in the GH6. Also, hopefully has a flip screen. Either way, I'm excited. GoPro Hero 9, the 9th version of the GoPro. I've never really been one to purchase the GoPro series year after year. Since the release of the Hero 4, it seems as if GoPro has struggled to innovate and, dare I say, listen to their customers' feedback. We never really know the full story though with what happens behind a company that's struggling, but from my perspective, it feels that so many companies have taken the route of making their products as small as possible, forcing customers to buy add-ons to improve their experience. Which leads me into my suggestion list for what I feel would be the perfect GoPro Hero 9. For a bit of an overview, I think that GoPro should consider making a slightly larger version that offers more for the sake of buying and carrying extra items. Number one on the list would be to keep the stabilization how it is. I think that GoPro has definitely figured that out. For quality options, I'd love to see 4K 120 frames per second and the option of shooting 1080p 480 frames per second for that extra slow motion option. Problem is, the smaller these cameras get, the smaller the sensor becomes too, making the images more compressed or cropped. Professional audio. This is something I feel GoPro really could do right if they managed to include a mic adapter built into the GoPro rather than having this massive block you have to mount to whatever you're riding or driving. I have yet to find an action camera company that allows you to capture wind-free audio. This would bring up the production value so much for so many people. Please, somebody make it. Lastly, they need to go back to the Hero 7, allowing us to remove the lens. My lens broke on the Hero 5, and if I had the Hero 8, I'd have no choice but to buy a whole new GoPro. It's almost as if they want us to purchase their warranty. The HyperX2 is a product I actually stumbled on while browsing the Kickstarter trending page. They claim it to be a high capacity, super fast, portable SSD drive, which to me sounds a bit like clickbait, but after watching their campaign, it does seem slightly appealing. They're claiming that their 4 terabyte solid state drive can transfer speeds up to 1 gigabyte per second across devices like a PC, a Mac, an iPad Pro, Xbox One, and the Blackmagic 6K version. So not only can you transfer data and edit on a solid state drive with high speeds, but you can actually record externally for longer if you're shooting on the Blackmagic camera 6K version, and I believe only on that camera. For you Xbox One users, you'll be able to use this as an external drive for more storage and faster read and write speeds, which is also great if you're into gaming. Downside is the product is delayed and they don't seem to be responding to a lot of their customers' questions, which leaves me curious to see what happens next. Prism Lens Effects is the name of a fairly new and upcoming filmmaking company that produces filter effects that you can actually thread onto the lens while filming. The advantage to having these effects happen in camera rather than adding them in post-production as an overlay is because the effects will react differently to what is in frame. So basically, when these filters are on your lens, your effects will have depth to them depending on if your subject is in front or behind something, which is very difficult to achieve in the editing room, saving you time, money, and a lot of frustration. I actually purchased a set of their kaleidoscope, chromatic, and starburst filters about a week ago, and I honestly can't wait to share the results with you guys as soon as they come in. I'm definitely looking forward to making a video on that. The truth is, I could go on and on about the amount of new gear coming out, but this is personally what I'm looking forward to based on the things I feel would add value to my filmmaking business. But if there's anything you think is worth checking out, please let the rest of us know below in the comments so we can all check it out as well. If you want to see behind the scenes content, I encourage you to follow me on TikTok at Captured by Nick and Instagram at Nick Varnavet. Subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. And of course, thank you guys for watching. Oh yeah, somebody told me that this is actually offensive if I do it like this. So from now on, peace.